Let's get into some fucking gossip. Yeah.
First of all, and since we in some gossip,
All right.
I think Joy and I should have the right to have a SpongeBob screen that says 3,000 years later.
3,000 years later.
What do you mean?
Whenever you're like, this will be quick. And it was not.
Do you want me to go back and time how long you talked about Argyle and compare it to how long I talked about
You kept asking me
Argyle?
questions. We didn't ask questions.
Okay. Well, yeah. She can monologue forever and a day about Argyle. But the second I start talking,
But it's you
5 seconds later,
said,
she's like, "Shut up, Chris."
you said it'll be quick. And I got people going, this isn't quick.
My wife knows that when I say it's gonna be quick, she knows what's gonna happen. I put in that work. Anyway, Jesus, who's judging me?
Oh my God.
I let a monologue for an hour and a half about Argyle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The second I start talking about a cartoon, she's like, "Shut the fuck up, Chris." Feud.
Oh,
Speaking of Feud,
Yeah. I felt it was appropriate to get that in beforehand.
the latest episode of Feud season 2, Capote 3. Let's start with somebody who doesn't insult me all the time. Joan, what do you think? What's going on with Feud? You liking it?
It's a slow burn.
Is this slow burn for you? I'm enjoying it.
Because the first episode we watched was
That I can agree was a slow burn. Yeah, I feel like it was a lot of setup.
yes. So you were just like,
Yeah.
where are we going? But no, it's
getting spicy.
there.
I like it. I like the
Well, the fact that Slim
yeah, that was a
thought she was being slick.
Yeah, that was a good one. I
Mhm.
liked that part. I do. Okay, so here's the part that I think I find fascinating with the way this is set up is in the beginning, it's as if they were trying to set up empathy for the Swans. It's like they were setting you up to have empathy for the Swans.
Yeah.
And then they feel like they're trying to set up empathy for Capote. And I'm like, okay. But then you're sitting here going, this is the concept of someone feeling justified in their bad behavior that they do to another person that then continues to repeat the cycle of them retaliating and feeling justified in their behavior to that person. And I feel like this is an endless cycle that's going to continue to happen no matter what.
Some of them haven't. Only thing that they have seen was an excerpt that was released.
Yeah.
And so they don't all realize that he's
doing
We're going to talk about all of y'all.
Yeah.
So you're not as angry because you haven't been mentioned yet.
Because it hasn't come out.
That hasn't come out. Yeah. And like I find it fascinating the idea of how they tried to create empathy within trauma. Like them showing Capote's mother and sort of creating that understanding of why he responds and reacts the way that he does, and then them trying to create a righteousness within him being a homosexual, and then like especially with this last episode they did that a lot, and I was like, this does not make that right, and like them creating the pretentiousness and almost then trying to villainize. Am I saying that word right? Villainize the Swans and their lifestyle, which we already have that villain aspect of the elitist and the rich. But then you have to circumvent it with the trauma that they experience within their world, but that doesn't also make their behaviors okay. And it's really, like, when you really start breaking this down, you start therapizing the show, it's quite interesting in that aspect.
You know, and like Slim, for example, who cannot let it go.
She can't.
And the one true person that Capote cares about the most is the one who's, because she's dying, is like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I want my friend back.
Yeah.
I miss my friend.
And now she can't. And now she can't.
And I just want to let it all go. And none of them can let it go.
Yeah. It's a lot of sadness. I think that was the real, like, if you took a step back and you look at it, it's a real view of how sad a lot of money can make you. Yeah. All the way around. All these people put on this face. Every single person in this show is deeply scarred and sad. Deeply.
And then I, had to laugh, of course, when Babe's husband, she
God.
gives him all the permission, and then he happily runs back. She said it was fine. And, of course, Slim's like, I don't know. That's
like, now she
because
doesn't
we're
want
dealing with a
it.
situation where friends are sleeping with.
She's like, she knew.
She's throwing all these stones and rocks at Capote, and then
she's doing the ultimate betrayal.
Yeah, doing the ultimate betrayal against her own friend.
She's sitting there preaching. It's the preacher
the preaching.
It's the preacher who preaches, morals and values and how dare you do this, and then they themselves are doing the very thing that they're preaching to not do.
I know. When I saw that scene, I was like,
I know.
Are you serious with me right now?
I know. I did too. I did the exact same. I was like, mother, and Jess is like, what? I was like, you don't recognize who that is?
Yeah.
I was like, so bad. Oh, and Babe, they really create this compassionate view of Babe, and then what I loved, because they weren't going to let you sit with, because she's dying, they weren't going to let you sit with just compassion for her. You have the guy who comes in and he's like, what didn't you tell? And so he starts talking about the girls and like all the things he didn't say, and he starts with Babe, and he starts with her self-importance. Yeah, she's soft. Yeah, she cares, but she's very self-absorbed. Yeah, she can't look out of her own things, and that affects the people around her, and she's not kind in that way. And so it's just from a person who loves analyzing that stuff, it's fascinating.
There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, there's so much. There's so much to unpack. Yeah.
Each one of the Swans is its own movie.
It's its own thing. I'm of course Googling and reading things.
Yeah, in real time. Yeah.
Well, here's
you have to.
Did I tell y'all that before the show came out, I had already weirdly come across, like before I knew about this show, knew about these stories of the Swans.
There was a Capote movie that was in the early 2000s.
But I didn't watch that. I was watching a weird documentary thing about it.
Well, the movie was not about the Swans. It was
just about Capote.
About Capote.
It was like prior to him
meeting the
really getting with the Swans.
And it was like story, like article, the documentary style, but like articles about the Swans and everything that they go through. And then the show came out. I was like, oh my God, this is that story. I didn't know. I didn't connect the two until I started seeing it. But yeah, it was. He really did his lover's daughter that.
Oh, that scene that caught me off guard.
But he really did consider her his surrogate daughter.
Well, for context, what we're talking about in this, I know a lot. If you haven't watched the show at all, you don't know what we're talking about. But there was Capote being is a gay man and in a relationship with another man who is married to a woman. He's very abusive. And his daughter, he
abandoned his family.
Abandoned his family to be with Capote.
But he's also abusive to his family.
Yes.
And that was the reveal that caught me off guard. Because Capote thought that the daughter was going to yell at him or get mad at him for stealing.
She was like, "No, you saved us."
He's like, thank you for that.
He's like, leave us alone.
He's your problem now.
But she's like, but now I need your help.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't have money.
You don't have money. He doesn't leave us anything. Like now we need your help, and he did. I will say that's
because you kind of owed it. He did fuck their family up.
He did, but he also you see in the character that they. Granted, I don't know if this is how he really is, but in the character that they create through the show, you see a man who had a horrible mother who desperately seeks validation and love and to not be abandoned. His biggest fear is to be abandoned. And
from American Horror Story, the person that cast to be the mother, perfect. Cast.
Oh yeah, it was. It really was great.
From what I could read online, the interviews and things they've done with that girl who's playing the daughter, she spoke very well of him. Said that he was always very good to her.
Yeah.
That means she recognized that he had trouble.
Yes.
And that he had a lot of issues, obviously, but that he was always very good to her.
And you can see that he desperately wants to create connection and relationships with people, but he self-sabotages those relationships and connections every single time. And that was kind of like one of those key factors that I was like, this is trauma-based. This is a trauma response. He doesn't know how to accept worthy love.
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, his actual partner, if you will, who's rehabbed, stuck by him through all
everything.
Of this, promises him, yes, I'll ditch the dude.
And he and look, I really feel like in this situation, and this is me, my stupid analytical brain trying to therapize and figure out what the cause is. Like he displays bipolar disorder behavior. And if he happens to be bipolar, it would make so much sense with the self-sabotage and the actions that he does and what he does within that disorder of, you know, doing those things, because typically that disorder, one, does not start at a young age. It usually gets triggered by trauma, which would probably have been like his mother's death or whatever his mother may have done. And it typically, you know, distributes itself in your connections with relationships. And so it just was fascinating. The whole concept of how they've displayed this relationship in the feud, I've really enjoyed. I really have.
And it's been nice seeing some of these
I
ladies
love
on screen
these
again.
are so some of the like
Calista,
top tier actors.
Flockhart,
we haven't gotten to see
Demi
forever.
Moore.
Demi looks freaking fabulous.
Oh my God, yes. And like seriously,
Diane Lane.
these are
Molly Ringwald. I mean,
A-listers, man.
yes.
A-listers, and it's so good to have them on, you know, a very in-depth, in my mind, well done show.
Yeah. Full of all the tea.
Yeah.
And they cast Capote very well.
Yeah, they
that
did.
man.
They did. He was so, and he does the mannerisms,
The
cheek thing, and every time he does the cheek thing, I'm like, oh man, it's so good.
I was.
That's a trauma response. They show it. It's a every time he got hit, he does that thing. It's a trauma response.
Hurt me, baby.
Yes.
Like that thing, like that he does. Even when he's getting abused physically,
so
he's
done well.
still he still is in his own. Like you're not gonna ever take him out of his world, his bubble, whatever's going on in his mind. It's never you can't shake him out of it.
So good with him.
He doubles. He's
an amazing actor.
Invented the double down. This guy invented.
Yeah, he's an amazing actor. First of all, when you forget that an actor's playing a role and you think that he's the character,
I'm not. Are you familiar with any of this other actor's work?
I am. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I've seen him in many different things.
I looked up. What did it say? White Lotus. Is that
Okay.
White Lotus, yes.
I haven't seen White Lotus.
He played the gay guy in White Lotus.
I've never seen White Lotus.
So the second. Was it the second season? Yeah, I think it was the second season of White Lotus. He plays he's like the leader of this group. Anyways, it's really good.
To
and
be honest,
that character, he was so
never
good
even heard it because I hadn't watched the White Lotus.
With this
but I saw
y'all should totally watch White Lotus, by the way.
An article. It's the article where he said he accidentally got Spider-Man Tom Holland's paycheck because their names are similar.
Oh, that's the guy.
Right.
That's the guy.
Yes, that's the guy. And he was all like, "Holy crap!" It was his bonus check. He was like,
"Yeah, I remember that."
It's like I gotta talk to FX and say and work on this new Capote. Gotta get those Tom Holland checks.
This right here, man, this does it the way he does it, and it's like he's focusing his energy into.
He's going deeper into his Delulu.
Yes,
he's activating the Delulu.
It's just like every time he does it, and it's almost elegant. And he uses his fingers. It's almost elegant, and it's like he's putting his energy and he's coming back into it.
And I can't tell if the mannerism, if it comes from the focus that he's lacking because of the drinking. Is that him trying to really keep his composure? I don't know if that's something.
No, because he does it when he's sober.
He does it when he's sober?
Yeah, he does it when he's sober.
I always noticed it when he was drunk.
He does do it when he's like, I think like whenever he was taking the pills and drinking and stuff, but he does that when he's sober when there's conflict. This is like, it's a conflict thing.
That's like,
which I loved. It was so good.
A coping mechanism, I guess, kind of a thing.
Yeah, side note, y'all need to watch White Lotus. Like, for real. You will love that show. 100%. So good. Remember to like this video, become a subscriber, and share. This really does help us out. If you would like to watch more from us from T3 Media Studio, click here or here. Thanks for watching. Stop being NC-17.